Well, I'm going to assume that we're all here then and that we're ready to go. And for anyone who might be listening to our hearing, this is the Washington County Salary Study Commission. This group is tasked with studying the salaries of the Washington County Commissioners, the Washington County Board of Education, the County Board of Liquor License Commissioners, the Judge of the Orphans Court, the Sheriff of Washington County, and the Treasurer of Washington County. And on this committee, just real quick, on no particular order, serving in various capacities for organizations are myself, JD Rep as chair, Peter Perini, who's on here if he wants to wave, Brian Tanna, Paul Fry, Richard Willison, Boyd Cook, Jason Hose, Donna Brightman, and Harry Jones. And we have tonight with us representatives of the sheriff himself, as well as the liquor board that we're aware of. And as far as introductions, I believe that covers us. And so we're ready to hear from the sheriff's office first.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I first wanted to say that this is the first time that I've appeared in person before the Salary Commission because I didn't feel in the past when I was running for office that I should appear before the Salary Commission. I thought that ethically that was not appropriate. However, as most people know, I will not be seeking re-election in 2022. And so I felt that it was appropriate to come and advocate for a change in the sheriff's salary. First of all, let me say that the sheriff, for any jurisdiction that runs a full service sheriff's office, and that is patrol, judicial, civil process, and the jail, by Constitution, Maryland Constitution, the sheriff is the highest ranking law enforcement official within that county. Washington County is one of 10 of those jurisdictions that has that distinction. So in addition to those, the patrol, judicial, civil process, and the jail, Washington County also has a day reporting center that the sheriff is responsible for. And with the day reporting center, there are a number of participants that come out of the jail, but there's also about 8 different contractors that work with the day reporting center as well, that the sheriff is responsible for and for their activities in participation in the day reporting center. In addition, the sheriff is also responsible for over 60 fire police in Washington County. By state statute, the chief of fire company can appoint the fire police, but it's the sheriff who does the background investigation, who appoints them and swears them in, and then is responsible for the management of the fire police through their activities. So that's an additional liability that we have here in Washington County. I also wanted to mention that we have contracts with several of our towns. That would be Sharpsburg, Keysville, Williamsport, and Clear Spring for contractual law enforcement services that the sheriff is responsible for. And we have 4 deputies who are contracted by Meritus Medical Center who provide law enforcement security at Meritus Medical Center. Those are all duties that other sheriff's offices do not have. I also wanted to mention that the sheriff of Washington County is the only sheriff in the state and the only jurisdiction in the state that has legal authority to swear in municipal police officers as special deputies for instances of major traffic violations such as DWI, reckless driving, that type of thing, and for crimes in progress. So if there's a robbery, for example, that's outside of one of the municipal police department's jurisdiction, they can respond and to assist and mitigate that. However, the sheriff accepts the responsibility and the liability for that response from those jurisdictions. So that's an additional liability that the sheriff of Washington County has that other jurisdictions do not have. The sheriff's office in Washington County is also certified nationally through the Commission on Law Enforcement Accreditation, CALEA. We are only one agency. There are 25% of the agencies, of all law enforcement agencies across the country, who are certified nationally through CALEA. Washington County Sheriff's Office is one of those. And as a matter of fact, this Friday, I will be attending a virtual conference to accept our reaccreditation certificate because we once again were audited and found to be following national policies and standards. And so we will be reaccredited effective this Friday. So I wanted to say that of the 10 sheriff's offices across the state that are full service, 5 of those sheriffs either have their salaries tied into rank of lieutenant colonel with the Maryland State Police or with their state's attorney salary. And the rest of them are smaller jurisdictions, and in a couple of cases, their salary is actually set by their county commissioners as opposed to being set through this salary commission. Our delegation, unfortunately, over the last 3 terms, has forgotten to submit legislation to change the salary of the sheriff, even though this commission approved a salary or recommended a salary, and it was approved by the delegation as well as the county commissioners. They have a tendency to forget to submit that legislation. And for the past 3 terms, I've actually had to go to them and remind them that they needed to submit that legislation. They're busy. I understand that. They don't necessarily can't stay on top of everything. But my recommendation would be that you tie the sheriff's salary into either the rank of lieutenant colonel of the Maryland State Police or to state's attorney's office, so that it's an automatic set. And it would be set by the Maryland legislature, because that's who sets the salary for the Maryland State Police. And the state's attorney's salary is actually tied into a district court judge. So their salary is actually set by the legislature as well. The sheriff is a state elected official, not a county elected official. And so it would be more appropriate for that to occur as opposed to being set by the commission and then ultimately approved by the county commissioners and so forth. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions that anyone on the commission may have.
Does anyone on the commission have questions for Sheriff Mullendore right now?
I don't.
I don't have a question, JD, but just a comment kind of for the record to thank Sheriff Mullendore for his not only years of service as sheriff to Washington County, but prior to that in the sheriff's department. The next sheriff will have pretty big shoes to fill, and we appreciate all that you've done, Sheriff Mullendore.
Thank you very much. I will say this is not a 40-hour job if you do the job correctly. My job started at 6 o'clock this morning and I'm still here. So that's just, you know, how it runs. And typically when the legislature is in session, I spend a great deal of time in the legislature testifying on bills on behalf of law enforcement and corrections. That is just another responsibility of the sheriff.
Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you, Sheriff. What you shared will certainly be considered by our commission, as well as other information you provided. And now I believe we have Mr. Levin and Mr. Newman with the Liquor Board. So I'm not sure how they want to do it amongst the 2 of them, but this is your time.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, gentlemen. I am Commissioner Newman. I represent the Washington County Board of Licensed Commissioners. We were sometimes called the Liquor Board or just the board. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the time allotted for us this evening. I know you're busy. I don't know if you've been there all day, but a lot of people have, as I remember. Anyhow, before I turn this over to Commissioner Levin, he is our treasurer. I would like to talk a little bit about the DNA of the Liquor Board. Very briefly, we have 3 commissioners. The commissioners are appointed by the governor. We serve at his pleasure, and they are 6-year terms. Right now, we currently have around 200 licensees, and that's over the entire county, and it does cover the entire county. Those licenses could be for a lot of things. They're obviously for just alcohol, but you have breweries, you have distilleries, you have wineries, you have clubs. It just goes on and on. So it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of things to do. And probably like the sheriff, we're on call almost all the time. They can call us and we will respond. What I'd like to do now is turn it over to Commissioner Levin, and he will give you some more information concerning our questions.
Great.
Hi, JD. Hi, everybody. I think I know everybody on there. JD, I think I've heard about you, but I haven't met you. So thanks for taking the time for this. And we haven't, we're there a lot more than Wednesday mornings, as many of you know, especially now with the governor's mandates that he wants liquor boards to also enforce with the health department. COVID, masking, you know, all the COVID stuff too, which we didn't think was going to be on our plate a year ago. But that being said, we are there whenever needed. We put in a lot of time all week. There hasn't been, this is a salary commission, so I just wanted to let you know, there hasn't been a salary increase for 8 years. I think it was 2013, early 2013, long before I was on there. And I was told by a couple people on your commission that we should put in a request. So that's what we're doing. I think originally we sent in a request for the 3 commissioners to increase the salary. I think it's like $200 a month. I think it was a $2,500 a year increase. With the public safety, the things we do, the fact that it's been about 8 years, we figured it was time to put this in since we were asked to put it in. And I guess the bottom line is we are one of the state functions that, but we are not, we're not seeking any county money. That's the crux of our situation. We don't need any extra money from the state or any government facility. We're self-funded. So basically I think the way this works is we just sort of need your blessing to pass that on to the commissioners with the stipulation that it's not coming from the county. We're self-funded with all the ways we take in money.
Uh-oh. He went off.
You muted yourself, Alan. There you go.
Thanks, Paul. I don't know how much you missed. The way the board receives income from new licenses, transfers of licenses, application process, additional special licensing, sidewalk cafes, tasting license, catering license, one-day event license, violations, you know, in situations like that. So we're really 100% self-funded and not seeking any money from any of the county entities or state entities or city entities. But we're putting that request in so you can pass that on to the county commissioners because I think that's where it comes from. So if you have any questions, let us know. Let me know.
So Alan, so you say there's no extra money, but where does the balance of the money go? You're self-funded. It goes somewhere, right? I mean, does the state take it in and do something with it, or do you guys have a big piggy bank and just keep rolling in there?
I wish
I'm not sure the extra.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish that were true. No, we're pretty much we're doing well. The expenses we have, the $2,000 a month rent we pay for that little building we're in, All the expenses each year to run the office, the computer, to pay Vaughn Swain, our assistant. We're also looking to get a part-time person in case Vaughn can't be there. That's where it comes from.
Is it break even? I mean, is it break even deal? Is there no surplus?
Oh, no. I mean, there's definitely some money sitting there to do the things we need to do, because we don't, like the COVID year we just had, there were 20 or 30 licensees that didn't renew or closed down. So that took away from the budget that we did from last year, but we're making it. We're doing fine. We're self-sufficient. We're not loaded, but there's enough that we can do this ourselves without asking any county money. We've never taken any money from the county or the state, but this was something that was told we have to go through this commission to pass that on to the commissioners. But we wanted you to realize that we're not asking for any extra money. It's coming out of our budget.
And then I know you and I talked briefly a couple weeks ago about how many hours, and I know you don't put the time clock. This year is out of the ordinary for all of us.
Right.
So your typical hours are Wednesday at what time? 8 to noon?
Yeah, well, the commissioners usually the hearings usually start at 10 o'clock, sometimes end by noon. We're usually there by 8:30 or 9 in the morning to discuss what else we have to do, violations, any future complaints that we've gotten, either from the police reports, sheriff's reports, anything we have to do. Now we're doing the COVID stuff too. We're getting a lot of calls about overcrowding that we're supposed to now be enforcing, things like that. So it's not just Wednesdays. We had a meeting last Wednesday for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. Usually happens 2-3 times a week. The official hearing date is Wednesday mornings, but it turns out to be like the sheriff's job, like a lot of jobs, a lot more hours than just the hearing day.
Are there any days you don't have hearings, you don't have anyone come before you, and it's a short day?
Oh, there's 2-3 days a week we don't have any hearings. Are just Wednesday.
Okay.
Our committee meetings and the things to discuss about what we're going to do as far as the hearings go and what's on tap and when we need to schedule this, that can happen 2-3 times a week besides Wednesday. So I don't know if it's 8, 10 hours, 12 hours, maybe 10 hours a week total,
And then,
give or take.
The enforcement, I mean, is that you guys doing that, or do you have enforcement officers? So if there's a problem with the bar, do you walk out, or?
That's another expense. Ron Fry, I don't know if you know Ron, he's our inspector, and he gets paid by the hour when he goes out to places, and he also gets paid by mileage. So that's another expense. I forgot about mentioning that. We have an inspector that we send out on cases to investigate things like that. Then he reports back to us.
So I guess my question is, if the governor's asked you to enforce it, and I just heard him today again. So you don't actually do it, but your enforcement officer does, but you have to hear the cases, is that, or do you actually go out on site?
Exactly. If he gets overloaded, and there's a lot of times the commissioners will stop in a place, his job is strictly to do that, enforce stuff and report back to us. But the commissioners can, and sometimes do, go into an establishment if he's overloaded, just to check it ourselves. We have the power we can do that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So when you say you have the power to do that, you actually have the authority.
That's a better word. Yeah.
You have, like the sheriff, you have a badge. I mean, it's not you just sit at a desk and hear people talk.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. I've been to. I don't call people know I'm a commissioner on the liquor board. Friends of mine, people who have been in a bar, the things are going on, and they call me on my cell phone. And a lot of times we will just on our own stop out, check that out, meet with the manager or the owner of the establishment. I didn't even include that in our meetings just between the three of us. But yes, that's true.
So JD, I have a question, but it's actually going to be a question for Kendall and Rachel. So in the comments, Commissioner Levin referred to the fact that we should have received, or he thinks there was sent in a request of $200 a month. I'm pretty good document keeper. I've got my binder here with me, and I don't see that. Did I miss something, or did we not get that? Did it not come in? Can you guys tell us?
Want me to?
I don't know.
Can you point us to the documentation for that so we can check?
Kendall, you asking me?
Yes, Mr. Levin.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think somewhere along the line when they asked for a number, we put in 25. I think we put in a request for $2,500 a year per commissioner for the 3 commissioners. I don't know if you got that on paper, but that's what the request was for. I think Vaughn from our administrator was supposed to send that in to you guys. Whether she did or not, I don't know, but that was the number.
I'm thinking not, because I don't recall seeing anything like
That's
that.
okay.
I mean, this is the first, in an official, I guess
Sure.
this is the first official ask.
You need
which is
that. If you
kind of
need
the
us to
purpose of
redo
this
that,
meeting.
Peter, if you need us to redo that and send that piece of paper over, fine, but that's what the number was.
Yeah, that would be great, because I was waiting on an email from Vaughn a few days ago, and actually yesterday I asked Rachel if she had got anything, because I hadn't got anything yet. And Rachel hadn't got anything either, so I told her, well, we'll find out tonight if we're missing information that.
I did not know that, JD, but we can email you that piece of paper if you didn't get it, just like that.
That would be great, yeah.
Okay. We have your email.
I guess you do. I can give it to you right
It
now.
goes to Kendall and Rachel at
Oh.
the,
Yeah, Alan, if you send it to Rachel and me, or just Rachel, we'll make sure that it gets disseminated.
Sure. Tell me the exact email.
It would be R McCarty, RM as in Mary, CCART as in Tom, Y at WASHCO-MD.net. And Vaughn does have that address.
Consider it done.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
So may I ask a question?
Certainly, Richard.
Alan, if you request an increase in the stipend that's given to the commissioners, do you have the authority to raise the rates that you charge your licensees to balance your budget, or is that set outside your purview?
Let me ask Commissioner Newman. I've been on it for about 1.5 years. Rich has been on it for the second time now for another 3 or 4 years. Rich, our license fees are set. Do we have the authority to raise our fees?
I think, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have to go through the delegation. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we have raised them in the past, and because the renewals are sometimes different. So I know I was there in 2004 to 2008, and they were less. So I know they're higher now, and I'm assuming that we go through the delegation. However, I'm not 100% sure of that. I would also like to make another comment, if I may, as far as the time we spend. I have spent, and I know Alan has too, and I know our chairman has too, multiple times I've been out to different licensee locations, walked through, gave them advice, especially on COVID-19. However, I've done it before that. I know we work very closely with the Hagerstown Police Department, the county, and I've even been on sobriety checks, and they're not in the daytime, as you know, they're at nighttime. And I've been called out many times over those years. So I just want to let you know, it's just not into the office and then home. We have strategy meetings. We have an attorney that we use. People can deny what we ask them to do, and we have to go to court. So there's lots of other things that take our time. What's
So
all
is the 2,500 that you're recommending as the salary, have you looked at that and realizing that with the current setup that that whatever rate we recommend to the county commissioners, that if they adopt it, will be the rate that stays in place for the next 4 years? So I want to interject that little piece of information for you. And you're asking for 2,500 per commissioner, not a $2,500 raise from the current rate, correct?
Correct, Richard, and we do understand that. And the fact that that there hasn't been one for 8 years, we used the 2.5 to 3, we used the 3% per year for the last 8 years to get to that number. So, and we realized it would probably be another 4 years if there's another request. So the answer would be yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the commission?
Just a point of question for me. I'm not sure who else is on the phone. I see an iPhone and I see a 2625. So maybe you already determined JD or someone else who those folks are, but I'm just
The
curious.
iPhone is Harry G. Jones. I saw his face there for a second.
And 2625 is Jason Hose.
Thank you. Okay, perfect.
Oh, Jason, yeah, okay.
Okay, if we have no other questions or comments, then thank you for your time, Mr. Levin, Mr. Newman. Like I told the sheriff, our commission will consider everything you've given to us this evening and whatever Vaughn sends our way. And thank you for your time.
Okay,
And thank you for yours and for serving on the commission.
yeah,
That's time as well.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, Kendall, Rachel, is there any other order of business we need to take care of this evening?
How do we get out of here?
None that we're aware of, but thank you, JD. I think you can go ahead and close the hearing.
Are we, and I should know this, next week, are we meeting as a regular meeting?
The
Okay,
7th.
you may have sent that out in person or after the governor's order, maybe not.
It's probably going to be Zoom following the governor's orders as of 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon.
Okay,
So you'll send us this information all again. It'll be
We'll reach out to you with the connection information to set up. We'll set up another Zoom meeting and get that taken care of and send out the contact information to you.
all right, thank you.
all right. Thank you much, everyone.
Okay.
See you next week.
Have a good evening.
Okay, good night.